If you don't know me, Bob's brother Brad. Father Rector sent word that I was to limit this to 5 minutes. Father, your senior year, you tolerated 50 minutes daily in physics class.
Yes.
And I want to remind you that I am entirely all of this. Bob Minor. So, I'll start by saying that I never thought that I'd do this for Bob. Most of you know he was a year younger than I, and always very fit and active. He was always my best friend growing up. I'm sure that you all know what a great guy Bob was, so I'll just share some of my memories of him over the years. First, if it would have been a thing back then, Bob would have been diagnosed with hyperactive disorder. He had energy to burn. There was no sitting quietly. If he sat, as a 3-year-old, he would have been bumping his head against the back of the chair. Some of my earliest memories are of playing hide and seek in the basement. One time Bob had climbed into a storage area that Dad had built high into the stairs. The shelf gave way, and with a thud, he came down, bringing an angry father down to investigate. Bob offered a 3-word explanation. Brad teached me. Keeping with that theme, on my 6th birthday, Bob and I found ourselves unsupervised in the kitchen with my birthday cake. We did what any normal 6-year-old would do and stole some frosting by running our finger along the cake, except for Bob got a little greedy and managed to pull the cake off the stove. This time it was an angry mom that confronted us. Keeping with the theme, Bob's defense consisted of, Brad did it too. I guess he thought that the birthday boy wouldn't get spanked. Now, most of you remember that Bob was the best athlete in the family. He and I were on the same 3rd and 4th grade basketball team with Dad as the coach. Games were on Saturday morning, and so was our weekly catechism class. One thing that never seemed fair was that when there was conflict, Dad got to go to basketball and we went to catechism. Now, that was also the year that he and I learned to serve Mass. Now, Father Rick was just a pup, so he may not remember that the prayers at the foot of the altar were in Latin back in those days. Did you have Sister Augusta for Latin?
No, I had Sister Joyce for Spanish.
Oh, okay. Okay. So anyway, Bob and I learned the prayers at the foot of the altar in Latin, and that was the last year for those to be in Latin at the start of Mass. So, Confiteor Deo, Father. Okay. The next story is somewhat embarrassing for me, but it's Susie's favorite, so here goes. Our family typically camped in the summer, so while we played baseball in the backyard in the evening, Dennis, I'm not sure how it was fair that it was you and your buddy against Bob and I. That's another issue. Anyway, we didn't usually do Little League, but Bob played one year and seemed to do pretty well. So I decided to go out the next year as well. My mom tried to prepare me by saying, Brad, you know that Bob played last year and they know him, so he'll probably get picked. But they don't know you, and it might be hard for you to make the team. Now that's how a caring mother tells you that you suck, without using the S word. Lo and behold, I got picked and Bob did not. Such a proud Brad moment. We went to the first game, and we only had 9 players. The coach seemed upset about that. So I volunteered that Bob wanted to play, but didn't get picked. He sent me to get Bob, and they had him throw a few and hit a few, and I guess he did okay because they gave him a uniform. The game started, and Bob played third base. I set the bench. Mom was right after all. The next baseball story happened when we moved to DeSoto. Bob wanted to pitch, which would have been normal because he had the best arm on the team. The only trouble was that the coach's son was going to be the catcher. And the first pitch, the catcher didn't get a glove on it, hit him square in the face mask, and the coach decided Bob would be better suited for shortstop. I would like to add that Jill knows exactly how the pitcher felt, except for she didn't have a face mask, and softballs are heavier and bigger than baseballs. Ouch. When we moved to Chester, Bob played high school baseball those 3 years. I only played my senior year, and so we were teammates. I got to come in as a relief pitcher in the first game, and we won. But I really had no experience and never got to start a game after that. Bob didn't pitch all year until the last game of the year, and we won. There were only 2 games we won that year. And Bob did go on to earn All-Southern Illinois player at shortstop his senior year. Later, Bob played several years as softball in Cape, always had one of the best arms in the league. And while he only played 1 year of high school football, he won several player of the game honors. I loved watching him. He was fast and aggressive playing safety. All that athleticism and experience came in handy as Bob and I coached Mark and Scott in baseball, basketball, and soccer. Bob was the head coach for baseball. The year it was coach's pitch, the pitching fell to me, as Bob was still good at getting strikeouts. It's not good when you're pitching to your team. And as the head coach, he got to make out the lineup. He always put a kid that couldn't catch at the pitcher position. I would throw a pitch, and the catcher would throw the ball back to the kid that couldn't catch, and he would jump and miss the ball, and sometimes it hit me. I think Bob enjoyed that more than I thought that he should. You know that Bob was a pretty good golfer. He really loved that Kimberlin group and their golf trips. Sometimes he slummed and played golf with me. His best golf tip to me was, you know, Brad, you could get better, but you're not coachable. The real story of Bob is how much he loved Susie and his family. When Bob was in college, he bought a blue Mustang with a sunroof. I used to tease him that it wasn't him that won Susie, but she loved that car. The two of them were such a great couple. Together, they nurtured Jill and Mark in their various activities and their faith. I have so many memories of your family over the years, trips to Kentucky Lake with Rabbit and Joanne, birthday parties, memories that will stay with us forever. And Bob once told me that he thought Jill and Mark both thought he was a little too strict as a parent. But we all knew he did a pretty good job. He was so proud of you and the parents that you are now. I also know that in your family, it was legendary how frugal Bob was. But you need to remember that he was always generous to those in need, financially and with his time. He loved being there to support you, Jill, and you, Mark, whether it's watching the grandkids or helping Mark build a house every third or fourth year. He loved the trips to the ocean and watching the grandkids swim. So that is the Bob that I will remember. Loving husband, father, grandfather, brother, and friend. Can't you just hear God say, well done, my good and faithful servant, welcome home. So now, Bob and Brother Jay are there together, watching over us. Thank you.